Welcome to
Tamarindo Podcast.
Hosted by me, Brenda Gonzalez, a political nerd and nonprofit capacity builder.
And me, Ana Sheila Victorino, a queer well-being enthusiast and mindset coach. We are a Latinx empowerment podcast discussing politics, culture, and how to keep your calma with well-being practices and self-love.
Welcome to the show. Woo! Hi, Tamarindo Podcast listeners. We are doing something really special today. We are here with our friends, visiting our friends at mitu, the leading digital media company connecting with folks like us, the 100% American, 100% Latino. We did our homework. So joining us is Vanessa Vigil and Ben DeJesus, and we're going to invite each of you to introduce yourself in just a moment. I'm going to pass it to Ana Sheila.
So Vanessa, let's start with you. What do you do and why? What's your why?
Well, thank you guys. I'm so excited. I have followed you guys from, I think, the very beginning.
Yay,
Brenda. We won't even talk how far back we go, but I'm excited to be on. So I am the Chief Brand Officer here, which means basically I oversee the content team, everything you see kind of on our socials and our brands and how we represent our content and our community. That's all part of the amazing team that I have and that puts content out, whether it's editorial, social, and then we work really closely with the studios team. And the why, oh my gosh, I loved this company when I was a client on the agency world, and because I just feel like it really gets us, it gets our experience as U.S. Latinos and how we grew up, and I just love getting to do that every single day and represent that every single day. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful. We're so grateful for all you do with all your brands. And how about you, Ben? What do you do and what's the why behind it?
Sure. Well, I'm the Chief Creative Officer of NGLmitú, but my kind of my day job, so to speak, is I also say that I'm like Chief Storyteller. So I run the studios division and I oversee all of the branded productions and all of the originals productions. So it's exciting, everything from like commercials that we do on behalf of clients to long form content. And now that we've launched our mitu TV OTT platform, we're doing even more, like a super high volume of content every month. And we're just looking to increase that. And the reason I do it is because I feel really inspired to tell my people's stories and to represent us in media. I mean, when you look at media, it's really the most powerful representation, for better or for worse. I mean, we've seen both ends of that. But I feel like if I want to be part of the solution, I really want to get in there, roll my sleeves up, and tell stories that matter to me and to the community at large. So that's my why.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, we're excited to hear more about that a little bit later. But I'm going to hand it back to Brenda, who's going to lead us in a fun game.
Yeah, thank you. This is so super exciting. So we're going to do a little fun game. There's no winners, no losers, so very low stakes. There's very low stakes. And basically, I'm going to tell you a little something, and you're going to tell me whether you think this is a matraca, in other words, worth celebrating, or if it's a basura, like we're over it. No, absolutely not. What are you talking about? So we'll start with, since we were talking a little bit about Latino representation in media, this is a little tidbit that I pulled from an op-ed today. This was in the LA Times. It was written by some folks at USC Annenberg. And it's all about Latino representation in media and reflecting on Flamin Hot, the new movie that is recently released. So this is a little tidbit. It says, among the 1,600 top grossing films from the last 16 years, only one out of every 320 had a Latina director. Only one was directed by a Mexican-American woman. In other words, you're more likely to know a person hit by lightning or to be born on February 29th than to see a top grossing film with someone like Eva Longoria. So is this little factoid basura or matraca? And what are your reflections on it? Maybe let's start with Vanessa.
oh my gosh, I feel so much pressure. I mean, it's bittersweet, but I'll give it a basura because there is so much talent. It's not for lack of talent in our community. It's lack of opportunity, and that's something that we're trying to change. And I know Ben and working with John is a big part of trying to change that. So for me, there needs to be more. Those numbers are unacceptable. So
yes, definitely. And what about you, Ben?
I agree. I think it's straight trash.
Yes.
That's basura.
Basura. We need more.
Yes, exactly. And it's like incredible. And Eva, by the way, she's done an incredible job with it. Like the directing on it is amazing. And I was able to kind of see a cut, and I'm going on on Saturday to the premiere. But it's amazing. And so, like Vanessa said, it's not for lack of talent out there. It's really for lack of opportunity and shots. And what tends to happen too is like once we have a movie out there that's a Latino theme or Latino storytelling, it's like all the hopes and kind of the risk of the entire industry, our whole community rests on whether In the Heights is like a blockbuster or not. And like when you look at other communities, they don't have to fail they don't have to succeed every single time. They're allowed to fail. And so we need that room to fail too. Like it's not just like everything is gonna be, you know, Oscar worthy, but that's okay.
Yeah, give us a chance to fail.
Give us a chance. So I think it's straight trash.
Yes, very good, very good. Okay.
Well, and I'll say something on that too, is I think to that point that you want like that one film, we get so few chances, and I feel like a lot of times our community maybe misunderstands and they think like this one is supposed to be everything to everyone, and I'm like, it's not. Like, and it's why we have to support these projects so that there can be others, right? There is not one American movie that represents and satisfies the entire like US population. There's not one Black movie that represents and satisfies the entire population. So why, you know, there is so much pressure on our projects, but that's all the more reason why support it. Like, even if you think it's just okay, support it, because that means more will come. But if you trash it and like it dies, then, you know, the data is just there to say like, oh, that was too risky, we're not doing it again.
Yeah, the stakes are just higher.
Yeah.
The stakes are higher for us. Absolutely. Okay, so here's a little even harder question. Is this a basura o matraca? Pineapple on pizza. What do you think, Vanessa?
For me, it's a matraca. I love sweet and savory.
Yes. What about you, Ben?
Matrasura.
Matrasura.
Yes,
What's that mean?
matrasura. It means a little bit of both. It depends how I'm
What
feeling.
mood you're in?
Yeah.
Like if you're hungover or...
If it has ham on it,
Has ham.
I'm more flexible.
Well, yeah, what
Yes,
else
I'm
would it
Fluid.
have?
I'm
It's
pizza
gotta have
fluid
ham.
when there's ham involved.
I love, ham and pineapple.
With
I love
jalapeno
both.
too. If
I'm
you get
pizza
like...
fluid.
Did I misuse that? I'm sorry.
No, I think you
no,
did.
no,
I
yes,
think
you're
you're good.
good.
Yes.
Topping fluid. My bad.
Okay, one more on this topic. Jalapeno on pizza. Matraca or basura? What about you, Ana Sheila? By the way,
Y'all
you're
know my
playing here.
answer. Jalapeno.
You like
Jalapeno?
Matraca,
Yes,
100%.
yes,
The
yes.
more chile, the better.
I like the piña and jalapeno both.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yes,
that's
that's a
nice.
good combo. That's a good
I'm
combo.
a bad Mexican because I'm kind of weak when it comes to spice.
Same.
So for me, I'll add it as I like it. So for me, it's a basura for me personally. But
Yeah. What about you? Jalapeno
well,
on
I'm
the
Puerto
pizza?
Rican, so I have to say that our level of pepper
Tolerance.
connoisseurship is a little bit lower on the
Okay,
scale. We
okay.
either have like Goya pique or nothing. So like jalapeno is even above pique. So I'm gonna have to say, I'm sorry, basura.
Basura.
What's Goya pique? Is that like...
You can put it on arroz con gandules. You can
is
put
it
it on
like
the steak.
sauce, like a hot sauce?
It's like it's
Little
almost
spice?
like
Is like tomato sauce? Or
no, it's almost like it has bits of onions and peppers in it in an olive oil type of mix. It's like
Pica,
Ooh,
pero pica, pero
yum.
poquito.
yeah, muy poquito.
Sounds like it.
To be honest,
Pica good, like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
say in
it's
the
great.
movie.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
And respect to Ana Sheila, who was at these studios not that long ago eating extremely spicy
I know.
chiles that I would have died. I would
spilled
have
a
absolutely
chisme.
died. So I'm with you. I'm a bad Mexican too. I am a bad Mexican. Okay, a couple more questions here. What is, I'll ask you, Ben, first. Basura or matraca? Live action remakes.
Live action
Of, like, kids'
remakes.
movies that we
Yeah,
watched
I
as
just saw the
kids.
Little Mermaid the other day with my daughter. Loved it.
Oh, I
And
love that.
And she loved the cartoon, and she was singing all the songs on the way home. I'm gonna say, matraca.
Matraca.
I like it. Yeah. Why not? I mean, I want new ideas out there, but listen, some of them are good. I want to see them a new take.
Yeah, okay. How about you, Vanessa?
I agree. I'm gonna give it a matraca. I think that there's, I mean, it would be nice to see more originality. I know we all roll our eyes at remakes, but you know, as someone who's worked in marketing, I also kind of commend like this is marketing genius, right? Because they're now tapping multiple generations in terms of, you know, us as parents now, our nostalgia, and I like that they are able to sort of, I don't want to say correct, but maybe retell certain parts of the stories, right? The hindsight of being like, oh, in the 90s, like what we just accepted, maybe, you know, we think about things differently now, you know, 30, 40 years later, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, you know, have the damsel in distress. Let's make her a little bit different.
More
and so we get to
empowered,
retell
yes.
it, but still keeping really true. So I think it's fun. I think it's great.
Overall, matraca.
Yeah.
What about you, Ana Sheila? How do you feel about the live action remix?
Well, I like what Vanessa just shared about really taking it as an opportunity to change the story, right? Like, let's fix the problematic parts of a lot of these movies that we grew up with in the 90s, right? Like, I know folks that didn't let their kids watch The Little Mermaid because of, this woman basically gave up her voice, right, to be with a man, right?
Literally. Oh my God, it's so blatant, right?
Wow.
But we know that that's not how it ends, right? But like, these remakes have an opportunity to tell the story differently and for new generations. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Cool.
And the only thing I'll add to this is that what I petition to the world is that I want a remake of Clarissa Explains It All with Latinas. That's what I want. What needs to be remade with Latinos or Latinas or Latinx folks?
That's a good question.
Like TV show or like
anything?
film?
Yeah, anything.
Ooh, that's a good one.
There's so many.
My partner, John Leguizamo, has a good, this is giving me time to think of it and giving me time, but he has a good point about like movies in general. Like some of the movies don't matter. Like if you just make the characters without changing the story Latino, it already is more representative.
Right.
So it's for me.
It doesn't have to be a Latino story.
It doesn't. So if we're going to remake something or if we're going to do something again, like one of my things is like do stuff that is not always trauma driven. Like I think a lot of times we do things that are like from the victimization or victimized point of view because it's the reality that we live in. But like media is so powerful that if you're gonna do stuff, like sometimes it could just be a regular family that happens to be Latino.
Right.
Or
absolutely.
a regular hero that happens to be Latino. So hopefully that gave Vanessa time to think of it.
Well, I have one ready if y'all don't have
Yeah,
one.
go for it.
Just because I'm thinking about being a little kid. So one of my favorite cartoons when I was little was the Rugrats. So I would love the Rugrats with like little Latino kids.
Yeah.
Like, talking about little Latino
cartoon or
like
real?
Mexican references. It could be either, but maybe
It'd be fun to make that live action.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
I was kind of
Rugrats.
along the same lines as Ana Sheila. Like, I was thinking of like The Simpsons and how that was just kind of a very like everyday family, but also very like real and imperfect and sort of the comedy. And like, I think that would be really fun with a Latino lens on like what it was like literally to grow up Latino, like in a home like that.
I love it.
How about Willy Wonka? I love Willy Wonka.
Oh, yeah.
And now with Mexican candy and Mexican
Yeah, oh
candy
my gosh,
maker and all the
please, that would be
kids.
amazing. Tamarindo everywhere.
Right?
Yes.
Or a Caribbean one.
Tamarindo River.
The river of chocolate.
Yes.
Little pancito on the
Oh
side.
my God, yes. Okay, that's a great idea.
That's good.
Somebody take notes.
I love this. Okay, you have both won this game. So great job. This is fantastic. So now we're going to pivot to our actual interview. And I want to start with you, Vanessa. So this is a question for both of you, but I'll start with you, Vanessa. We both really like this concept of the 200%. Like, I love that. We love that. We love thinking of our identity as not a deficit, but an asset, that we're more, we're plus. And so I would love for you to expand on that. What does that mean? What does that concept mean to you? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, So Smart is obviously coined at mitú before my time, but really kind of put on the map by this company. And I think, it was a shift for this generation that, I think a lot of times growing up Latino for previous generations was like, that code switching, whereas like you're more Latino at home, you're more Latino in certain settings, but then, you get into school or you get into work and you have to kind of like tone it down and you have to sort of always be finding that balance. And I think, what mitú did so well for this generation was exactly what you said. It was like, no, like more is more. Like we get both. We don't have to be, we don't have to be divided. We get to have it all, and it's better. And like we like to say, right, it's like being so extra is even better. And so I think there was a real empowerment in that. There was a real like, we don't have to be ashamed of this anymore. You don't have to like feel that, if you have a burrito for your lunch, like, oh, let me like skirt in the corner because it's different than everybody else's. It's like, no, like be proud about it. And so I think, especially in the age of like digital and social, that became what this company was able to do, right? It's like, look, there's others like you. There's a whole community of us that grew up like this. And I just love that that's what, we've accomplished and we continue to kind of work towards, is like, we're not alone. Like this, and this is actually a really amazing and empowering thing, right? That we grew up bilingual. We get to have it all. Like,
I love it. Yes. And Ben, what would you add to that?
No, I think being Latino is a superpower, and like having both of those cultures to tap into makes you extra in a really great way, a powerful way. So like maybe the generation before, and maybe some of our parents, especially like, I find this on the West Coast, they didn't necessarily want us to learn Spanish. It was just but it was because they were experiencing so much discrimination.
Yeah.
And I think, look, we still have that, But still, it's like to be able to embrace it and own it and celebrate our culture, like that makes you more powerful. That makes you at least 200%. So I'm excited about us kind of being at the tip of the spear for our community with that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and speaking about that, I mean, you've had your hands on some really exciting projects that uplift Latinx history and pride. So a little bit more on why do you tell these stories and what do you have coming up?
Yeah, well, I've always been like into pop culture and like a news junkie, a history junkie, and all kinds of things. But I was in theater, so like when I was younger, I used to idolize John Leguizamo, who's now one of our partners. But I idolized him because I wanted to be on Broadway. So I always had like this idea of like, I'm looking to people that look like me. There was like word diversity and all that stuff wasn't really taking hold at that point. But I knew in my heart that there's something about seeing somebody that looks like me that is somehow driving me towards whatever my destiny or my path or my calling in life is. So I was able to hone in on that more and more over the last few years. And I just feel like there's probably a lot of kids or people that were like me when I was younger that need that. Like if you don't know what's possible, if you don't see that there's the diary of the female president or all these things, it's like it really has an effect on your own kind of thought of what's my potential. And so now that I figured that out in my own life, I just can't stop. It's like I want to tell these stories. I want to celebrate. I want to show people like the rich history and the rich contributions that we've done. And now I've been able to turn it into a business. And it's awesome. I have to say, I feel like I'm living the dream because I'm working in my purpose, but I'm also making a business out of it.
Yeah, you can really see your passion for that. And I think it's really inspiring, this full circle moment that you used to admire John Leguizamo and here you are working on this project with him, right?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. It's still like, I'm not ever really used to it totally like, and I don't want to. Like we just shot the last day after 6 years working on a project called American Historia, The Untold History of Latinos. And it was based on the show that we produced on Broadway for his called A Latin History for Morons, available on Netflix if you want to see it. Plug. But that was comedy, and that was what John is known for, and it had a little more of that spin on it. But him and I, 6 years ago, we were like, we wanted to have a little more gravitas. And like, what if we took these stories and expanded on it and talked about the amazing war heroes that Latinos have had? Like, we've been in every single war since before the birth of this country. Latinos have been on the front lines. Literally before the Revolutionary War, we were there. Like, our gold, our silver was donated to help Washington pay for the troops. But now I feel this sense of responsibility to like, if I don't tell these stories, I'm not waiting for somebody else to. I don't trust, that it's going to happen. So just take matters into our own hands. And so that's one of the things we're working on. We just finished a 6-episode series called Leguizamo Does America, which was on MSNBC and Peacock. And we traveled around the country and went to Latino communities that you wouldn't expect, like in Washington, D.C., and in Chicago, and Miami, Puerto Rico, L.A., and so on. And we went in and we just said, you know what? Like the travel shows, they'll come and do the Cuban restaurant in Miami. CNN, they want to see Cuban food. They're going to go to Versailles. That's off the list. Why don't we go to the next version of the next generation, whether it's in food or music or the arts or politics. And so those are the stories that we told, and we're hoping we get a season 2.
Amazing. We're super excited. We're going to subscribe to watch it all.
Thank you.
Anytime you talk about John Leguizamo, I have to think about Romeo and Juliet. Like,
I always think of that too.
God,
that's like the most prominent.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's like the most prominent.
Oh my God, I love it.
Like,
I love
project.
it. I love the entire look. Okay. So, but Vanessa, now I'd like to shift and talk a little bit about mitu does fantastic work, and I love too that there's almost like different brands, different divisions, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what it means to empower Latinas specifically. So can you speak to some of the work that mitu does for Latinas?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our audience is largely Latina, and you'd be surprised even on mitú, kind of the flagship brand, that's still 70% Latina, and Fierce by mitú, which started in 2017. That is dedicated to Latinas. Obviously, it's much more our female vertical. And yeah, so, a lot of what, as a platform as a whole, and Fierce especially, it's interesting because all of these brands and verticals do have, like, I refer to them kind of like they're primos within a family or siblings within a family. Like, there is a through line in a relationship, but they are they have their distinct personalities, and kind of the communities behave a little bit differently and tolerate different things and gravitate to different things. And I love that. I think, it's nice to have that nuance and to know sort of how you feed each of those. But yeah, as a whole, mitú has always been about being a platform to, amplify Latino creators, Latino storytelling in whatever medium, right? In the digital space, obviously that has shifted, and it shifts every single day, like what platform it is, how long, what type, vertical, horizontal, whatever. But yeah, it's always been about that. And so, a lot of what we do is really to amplify those, whether it's business owners, storytellers, entrepreneurs. We're really focused on continuing to tell those stories. And so similar to, when Ben was talking about kind of going deeper than sort of the obvious surface of what people think of like as what this is sort of the iconic Latina. We love that. Obviously, there's always a place for celebrity on our feeds, and we support that. But we try to always also think and scour for the people that aren't in the spotlight yet, right? Aren't like the macro influencers, are not, like we're so happy for the ones that have made it into Ulta Beauty and Target, and we're like, that's amazing, and we're so happy to be on that journey. But like, who's next? Who needs that visibility to get to the next level? And so we're always looking for that, like we kind of make that our mission.
Yeah, thank you.
I really love how thoughtful you are when it comes to that approach. I think that's really helpful for a lot of folks that are, because I feel like it's hard to, once you make it, you've like made it and it's so easy, so many opportunities come to you, but it's before you get to that.
Yeah, like who's like just under that cusp. And so send us recommendations too. If you guys have any, like these should be on your radar, put them on a carousel, give them an editorial shout out. We would love that. So.
Beautiful. So we've been talking about Latinx representation in media throughout this interview, but what progress have y'all seen since you're so close to it? What are you really proud of, and what opportunities do you still see? Ben, we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, last Saturday night I went to like a dinner that there's something called, maybe I shouldn't say, it's called La Cena. And it's like Latino Hollywood has this little dinner, like 30 or 40 people.
Now that you told us, you have to invite all our listeners.
It's good. I just got on the list, I'll be honest.
Ben just made the cut.
By the way, I did. I literally just made the cut. But we were there, we were celebrating.
You're going to get kicked out for giving away all the secrets.
It's so good. It's so good. Because it was, for this one was celebrating Eva.
Yeah.
And so Becky G hosted the dinner with Chris Abrego, who's like a television mogul.
I saw the stories.
Yeah, so it's out.
Oh,
yeah.
so cool.
It is out. So you haven't revealed any secrets, just
it
that
was
you're
at Mira May,
invited.
yeah. By the way, there was 2 parties. There was one that was like the beginning, the dinner. I was like,
then there was the
I'm not at the
after
kids'
hour.
table. Okay. I was looking around. I was sitting next to Mayan Lopez, and I was like, we didn't get booted to the little table in the back. But then there was another party that was bigger. But anyway, the point I say is that room was a really good like litmus test of where we are. And like when Chris and Becky were talking about it, I call her Becky, by the way. So when she was up there and they were talking about like, we got to celebrate each other's wins, and we have, this movie out and this one, and then John is doing this with Ben. It was like cool. And even just seeing how many, and Chris Abrego said it too, he was like, I think I'm forgetting something because there's probably so many of these things that we're doing now. So like the answer is like, anecdotally, like we are moving the needle. There's progress being made. And I think it's because we're having these like madrinas and big sisters and big brothers who are like a little more intentional and have more clout. Like Gloria Kelly Calderon has multiple shows on air. She's a big showrunner. She's kind of like our Shonda Rhimes for people who know television.
Yeah.
And so once you get that next generation above and they're opening doors for the next generation below, that's where it's going to become like critical mass. Like right now, it isn't enough to just have Gloria and Tanya Sriracha. It's like we need like 10 of them. And I don't know, I just see it moving in the right direction, but we got to be loud. Like we got to be a little more like, I think the Black community did it really well. Like they were like, no, we're going to take what's ours and take it or leave it. And guess what? Hollywood took it. And so like we need to be a little more intentional. So I'm excited about the path ahead, but I do see progress, but much more to be made.
Yeah. What about you, Vanessa? Would you add anything?
Yeah. I don't have too much more to add, but I'm glad that you touched on like what the Black community has done well, because that's something I always think about is they are so supportive of one another. And I think that's the key, right? That's the key, that if you make it, afford opportunities, be a mentor, like give someone a chance, like really, really be committed to that, because that really is how we sort of lift each other up. And it's when one wins, they all win. And so I think that's super important for us to remember as a community. So, I think, we're trying to do more of it. We've done some, mentorship programs here with the studio as well. And I know we want to do a lot more of it. We've had interns and, I wish we could just do more and more, but I think it's like, it is so important to, afford those opportunities to people, because it's, our community is not maybe as well networked in the traditional sense. Like we may not have parents who work at studios. We may not have, and so how do we create that network and that ecosystem in other ways?
So we always love to end our interviews with our rapid fire questions, our matracas, basuras, and calmas. So we'll start with Ben. What do you want to give we'll do your matraca first.
Oh, my matraca.
So what do you want to give a matraca to?
Yeah, what are you celebrating?
What are you celebrating? Yeah.
I'm celebrating, I'm so proud of our studio team and what we're doing here. The work that we're doing here is really like, my mind is blown. Like, I know we put out, like, you put a PowerPoint together and then it all looks good on paper, but to see it come together and to see a plan come to fruition is really exciting. So celebrate it.
Yes, double down on that. Y'all have an amazing team, and I'm happy to have gotten to see a little bit of the magic that y'all create here.
You're our in-house squatter.
Yeah,
You're always welcome here.
Spots here, y'all.
Pretty good at ping pong.
Yeah.
All right.
You can have
Squatting
our desk
mitu.
with Ana Sheila's plaque on it.
I would love that, actually. All right, what are you putting in la basura?
La basura? I think self-doubt. Like sometimes I struggle with that in my own, like, not to get too personal, but it's like, like the old imposter syndrome, and sometimes you sell yourself short. So I'm trying to really like give myself a little more credit and celebrate the wins, because sometimes a win happens and I'm already thinking about what didn't happen or what's next, and I gotta enjoy the ride as it's going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Self-doubt, la basura.
Basura.
Yes. Lots of folks put it
Or
there.
should I?
It
Here it is.
belongs.
It's coming out.
And it's so interesting because, sometimes you're like, oh, this person's so successful. I'm sure they don't have any self-doubt, but it's like everybody goes through this.
Yeah.
So it's reminding yourself that like we all go through this, and celebrating those wins, and also having people that affirm you and remind you to celebrate.
Yeah.
So what about your calma? What's giving you calma?
Oh, my calma is just seeing things work and feeling like, okay, the fruits of my labor are coming to reality, like just accepting it, like being like, okay, this is working, and it's okay to have some bumps along the way, but I'm trying to find like a little more zen in my life where I'm not letting all my circumstances like dictate my moods, and so just trying to keep centered.
Beautiful. All right, Vanessa, your turn.
All right,
So matraca. What's getting your
my
matraca?
All right, we're going into summer, although it hasn't felt like it in LA. But one thing I love, and I think because I'm getting to my señora era, I am 41 years old. I'm not afraid to say
so
so. Like,
excited for it, yes.
but I love seeing this like body positivity. I love seeing that like women, younger women, especially younger than me, are just like embracing everything about their bodies, wearing form-fitting clothing. Like, it's so different than I think the insecurities that I feel like I grew up with. It's that typical, you always hear that anecdote, like you look back at pictures of yourself and like you thought you were fat then and then you're not. And then you're like, it's like always appreciate what you have. And I see like this generation of women really embracing that, like really just so comfortable and beautiful and like radiating in whatever body shape they have, whatever they look like, and supporting each other. And I just like, I love that. And I love that we're seeing it more in like from big brands, right? Like I love that when I go to Old Navy, like I see that jean on 3 different body types. Like that is progress. I like that like Target doesn't, Photoshop cellulite out of bathing suit models. Like I'm like, finally.
Yes.
Like, we dealt with an entire generation of that insecurity. And I love that. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. We get to celebrate that
Positivity.
progress for sure. What about basura?
Basura. Gosh, I think, my mind goes to like Florida and a lot of these policies that I'm like, and I also I just think it's like hilarious. That's like, what did you think was going to happen with your crops? And like, now congratulations, you get $18 orange juice. Like, I just like, I think it's funny that like, just these ideas that like are so simplistic about what people don't want. And, who our immigrant community is and the threats that they pose. And it's like, it's so short-sighted and it's so ignorant. And I just, there's a little bit of like getting satisfaction from kind of seeing how
seeing it all
like
blow
the
up in their
wreck
faces.
that I'm
Yes,
like,
come on.
what did you think
Yes.
was going to happen? Like that is such like this, this country runs on that community and that labor, and how can we dismiss it? And so,
Yeah, big time
a little
basura.
bit of
Basura,
So
para la
much of
basura.
that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, and then my calma, I don't know, a combo of stuff. I've been trying to like, if I can take, I'm in back-to-back meetings, like a lot of us are. If I can step out for a walk while I'm having one of those meetings, especially a stressful one that I'm like, all right, this one I don't have to be on camera, I don't have to be in front of my computer. That helps. I think just general body movement. I know you're like, super into fitness,
We both
Brenda.
like
Like
to
you
move
both
our
are just
bodies.
like, but
It's all
yes,
about
that
body
is,
movement.
even when you don't feel like it afterwards, I'm like, ugh, like every time I work out, sometimes I'll do CrossFit a few days a week, and it's just like that. I'm like, endorphins are an amazing thing.
They're so
like,
amazing. I
like,
just started a new CrossFit
Yeah,
gym, and
I
it's
love
like,
it.
yeah, look at all the
I love
things
it.
I can
love it.
lift.
So
Yes.
we got to go hiking. We were talking before the show about
Absolutely.
going hiking. We got to go.
Yes.
Now that it's light up
Listeners,
for
we're going to
longer.
have another Tamarindo hike.
Let's
You're
do
hearing
it. Let's do
here.
like a Tamarindo / mitú hike.
Yes,
right here. Let's do it.
absolutely. Okay,
It'll be
yes, we
so
will
fun.
make that happen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that concludes our special episode at mitú,
Yay.
Tamarindo and mitú with our primos. We're Ana Sheila squads. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. Big
Thank
matraca to
you.
both of you and
Thank
the,
you.
and the team that made it
Thanks,
happen. Thank you so
And truly,
much.
thank you for all that you do.
Oh,
It's so
thank
important.
you.
Thank you.
Likewise. We're big fans. Thank you.
Yay!
All right.
All right.
All right.
Tamarindo Podcast is Brenda Gonzalez and Ana Sheila Victorino, with production support from Josie Melendez and Augusto Martinez Delgado of Sonoro Media. Our theme song is by Jeff Ricards. If you like our show, please rate and review Tamarindo Podcast or share an episode with a friend.